Gina Godbey here as a candidate in the Republican primary for Maricopa County Attorney. The incumbent in the race, Rachel Mitchell, declined our invitation to debate. So earlier today, we spoke to Gina Godbey here about her candidacy. Gina Godbey here, thank you for joining us. This is supposed to be a debate. It's not a debate, but it's a forum as well as we can do. And we're going to do a little Q&A here. And first of all, my first question is, why are you running against a Republican incumbent?
You know, I'm running because we have seen an epidemic of leniency here in Maricopa County, and it's disappointing that this is not a debate. My opponent, Rachel Mitchell, is an elected official. She was elected by your voters. She deserves to be here and to be to answer the questions of why she's implemented these policies that are hurting not only this community but crime victims. To feel that she doesn't have to debate is part of the problem. We need accountability. We need transparency. And at this point, my opponent has implemented these policies that are hurting our community. And I'm running because I'm a fourth-generation Native, I'm a mother, and I've seen firsthand what has happened when you have these lenient policies, both how it's impacted the cities and crime victims.
You've described it as an epidemic of leniency. What does that mean?
It means that we have seen an alarming number of cases turned down, furthered, or sent to your cities where the cities do not have supervised probation, so these people are unmonitored. We've seen an expansion in liberal diversion policies that are hurting crime victims and demoralizing law enforcement. We no longer hold people accountable like we used to, so we are dealing with this revolving criminal door of justice that continues to arrest people, release them, and not actually treat and deal with the issues at hand.
You've mentioned in your campaign, you've mentioned especially an incident regarding a driver plowing into some cyclists. Yeah. And you seem to be saying that there should have been more done here by way of the county attorney's office. What's this all about?
You know, when you drive over 19 people and kill 2 and injure a dozen other ones, and every felony charge was turned down. I think there's just an article again about that today, and these victims, they deserve justice. You can't have somebody who, and these drivers were going 2 by 2 by 2 in a bicyclist lane, and this truck plowed over all of them. He didn't brake. He claimed that there were issues with his steering, but there was no confirmation of that in any of the analysis done on the vehicle. And he also had marijuana in his system, but he claimed it was from the night before. But the bigger problem is the county attorney keeps claiming she couldn't prove recklessness. She doesn't address negligence. And if you, how can you drive over 19 bicyclists, killing 2, and not at a minimum be negligent?
But is that one of the vagaries and one of the complications of the county attorney's office is that you've got to make sure you've got a conviction there before you go down that felony trail. If she wasn't totally confident, was she wrong in not going there?
Well, I could tell you this, the police disagreed with her assessment, the victims disagreed, the council and the mayor of Goodyear disagreed. They are part of the reason I am running. They've all asked me to step in this race, they endorsed me, and you have to have a reasonable likelihood of conviction. And I think it defies any common sense to say you can drive over 19 people over this extended period of this extended roadway and not brake for over 5.5 seconds and not be negligent.
What do you think the reason is that she did not go for felonies?
That is a good question. I've yet to hear a good explanation from her. And she's recently, this week, tried to explain it to a situation where somebody hit one of her friends who we knew, Judge Mraz, who we all respected and knew, who was in a crosswalk, and somebody who maybe they couldn't see because of the sun. When you hit one person and that could be deemed an accident is different than driving over all of these bicyclists that happened in this case.
Another incident you've talked about is a plea deal for ex-prisons chief Charles Ryan. Talk to us about that. That
is concerning. Charles Ryan was a political insider who got a sweetheart deal. And your job as the county attorney is supposed to be to treat similarly situated the defendants the same. You are the administrator of justice. And when you give one defendant a deal that nobody else would get, I guarantee you, you wouldn't have got it, I wouldn't have got it. That's when you erode public trust in our criminal justice system.
Judge agreed, though, to supervise 2 years of supervised probation, mentioned that he apologized, still a felony, attends AA meetings. How would you have handled that case?
That case, as a Class 2, and keep in mind your victim police officers asked the court to object the plea, and the judge was troubled by it, but he went along with the county attorney's decision. As a Class 2, that is a 10.5 to 21-year flat time. When she charged disorderly conduct because she said it wasn't really a pointing, it was more of a waving, that still was a mandatory prison plea. She instead charged disorderly, dismissed the allegation of dangerousness, did not even go with no agreements to allow the victims to argue for it, instead stipulated to probation with no jail. That is troubling. That has never happened. I spent 25 years in that office trying mostly dangerous, violent crimes. Nobody else got a plea deal like that.
What is your policy regarding plea offers?
Your policy regarding plea offers is supposed to be well, if it's a gun involving a police officer, they're supposed to plead to the charge. That has been the policy since I started in 1996. If you use a gun in an offense, it is mandatory prison. And in fact, Rachel Mitchell herself said, we've made it tougher that if you use a gun, it's mandatory prison. She then charged a case to get out of that mandatory prison plea, and even so, disorderly conduct should have been a prison sentence. She chose to do probation, no jail, because she claimed he had been using alcohol. Well, voluntary intoxication is not a legal defense, and none of the defendants. It's a justification. It is not a defense, and so she treated it as a legal defense and gave him a deal that nobody else got.
Moving on here, you received an endorsement from former Attorney General Mark Brnovich. Mark Brnovich is not is out of favor with the MAGA wing of the Republican Party, considering they complain that he did not go after criminal prosecutions regarding election problems and election claims. Do you accept Mr. Brnovich's endorsement, and if so, why?
I absolutely accept his endorsement. I'm honored to have his endorsement. Attorney General Brnovich, when he was here, he has been a fighter for victims his entire 30-year career. I've worked with him. I know his passion. He serves on the Child Help Board. The fact that he has endorsed me because he knows that we need someone, a fighter, we need a prosecutor, not a politician, and that's what I've been. I spent 28 years as a public servant protecting this community, protecting crime victims. We need someone who's going to show up every day and work to fix the problems in our criminal justice system. We have real issues that need to be addressed, from homelessness to addiction, that we can no longer ignore and pretend everything is okay.
But did Mr. Brnovich do all he could to prosecute alleged election claims and crimes? These people were saying that there were crimes out there that he actually ignored. And again, these are folks that are mostly Republican here.
There are some concerns that he did not do enough, but people who worked closely with him have been defending him actually since he endorsed me on Twitter, and they've said that a lot of the difficulty in this case was that the Maricopa County was not cooperating in disclosing the discovery needed so he can complete his investigation. I was not part of any of that. I am can only speak to him as an attorney and someone who's worked at the county attorney's office, who has been defending and protecting this community for decades. But
you have questioned some of the election goings on, let's put it to you that way. Would you have prosecuted, if you were the county attorney at the time, would you have prosecuted election crimes as they came to you?
If there was any evidence of an election crime, that is my job as the county attorney, would be to investigate and prosecute regardless of who committed those crimes.
Why do you think there was no prosecution?
Well, I can't speak to that because I don't know what evidence they reviewed or didn't review, because I wasn't the sitting county attorney. I can only say if I'm in that role and people brought to me evidence of a crime, I would investigate and prosecute.
I guess the question is, because this is a Republican primary, I have to ask you if you still think that the election was in any way, shape, or form rigged.
I think that there were concerns with the election just from common sense. I watched the long lines, the issues with the tabulators. People have not lost trust in our elections, and we have to change that. We have to work to fix these issues and build trust. And the worst thing that we could do was Rachel Mitchell asking for sanctions. The judge found one of the lawsuits by Kari Lake had merit, but she asked for sanctions. That was a choice that she made. Her team also blamed the voters, your viewers, who showed up on election day to vote for the problems, that they should have used mail-in ballots. That's not appropriate. These people had a constitutional right to vote on election day. These are the problems that I would not do and that I would fix.
Last question here, and we got to make it quick. I'm sorry, we're running out of time, though. As far as abortion crimes are concerned, and again, the 1864 law seems to have passed now. We're not going to have to worry too much about whether or not that gets prosecuted. But the governor wants the Attorney General to take over these kinds of prosecutions. What do you think about that?
The Attorney General cannot remove the jurisdiction of the County Attorney's Office to prosecute crimes. I'm not going to let Katie Hobbs or Chris Mays tell me how to do my job. If there's evidence of any crime, whether it would be in the death penalty area or in the abortion area, I will prosecute the law as they are on the books.
Gina Godbey here, again, Maricopa County Attorney candidate. Thank you so much for joining us. We appreciate the conversation.
Thank you. And if anyone wants to learn more about me, please visit my website at ginaforjustice.com. Thank you.